Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Liz Without podcast. Today, for episode, believe it or not, 220, I have a very special guest, not only a good friend of mine, Patricia, but also one of the latest alumni of my 3-week launcher podcast challenge. We got connected through a very good friend of ours, Abigail. She's a wonderful lady. And we had a wonderful conversation. And from the get go, I said, I have to bring her on the podcast, but that took a little bit long because first we had to do the podcasting program for 3 weeks, and she just did it in the month of August. And a little bit about Patricia. She's based in New Mexico. She has a full time job in her business. She has a lot of things going on. She's a superwoman, and she worked for 25 years in the field of environments and environmental works. And by training, by professionally, she was a biologist, biochemist. She absolutely loves animals, especially dogs, and she's also doing a lot of healing because she took a program on healing arts school and became, as a result, a massage therapist. And now she's been working with a method that she developed, which is very intriguing. We're going to talk about that later on in this podcast. And that's what she calls the butterfly healing, and the name of her business is called Mariposa Body. And in a nutshell, what Patricia does, very aligned with what she is and who she is, and that is help people connect to their soul's calling. So this will be a fun and an inspiring story because she'd have an inspiring story, but most importantly, she has a beautiful heart, big heart. And this is why she's here today, because she's a true leader with a heart. So without any further ado, Patricia, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. Really, really delighted to be here.
Pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. This was long due because I wanted to have you on the podcast for a while, but we're not able to do it, but finally we do it. So for people who don't know you, tell us. We're going to talk about your business, your impact later on. But first and foremost, tell us, who's Patricia as a person, as a human being?
Oh, I am what some, well, there was a term somebody put out there recently, and they called me a nature mystic. I love the earth. I love nature. I love being outside and going on adventures and spending time riding my bike, running, hiking, kayaking, traveling. So I'm kind of an adventurer at heart, and I love new experiences. I love to meet new cultures, new kinds of environments, but mostly I love nature. I love animals. I love plants. And as I've gotten older, I love being around people too. When I was younger, I just wanted to be in nature. But yeah, I'm a nature lover, I would say.
You mentioned the nature mystic. Just came to mind while you're speaking. That could be a wonderful title for your podcast, which will be going live on the 7th of October, right?
Yep.
So the nature mystic, that could be a beautiful title. I know we haven't done a podcast, but that could be a good one too.
Awesome. My second podcast, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, now she's on the roll. She's on fire. Once she didn't want to get one. Now she has one.
In parallel.
2, 3, 5. By next year, she's gonna have 10 podcasts. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Now, I'd like to start now with asking you a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know you as a person. Ready?
All ready.
Right. Good. What makes you happy as a person?
Being creative. I'm always needing to be creating something. That's why, 2 podcast sounds like lights me up. And before that, it's my family. Being with family and friends, just spending time, and home too. I love my home too. Yeah,
absolutely. Home is where it's at, where we recharge our batteries and get the energy, the inspiration to do everything else we're doing in life. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what makes you smile?
Oh, the first thing that came to my mind was sparkly things, but
Like what?
no, and what I mean by that is like sunlight,
Mhm.
right? When you see the sunlight like hitting the blades of grass, or the filtering through trees, or um yeah, that makes me smile. It really does. Magic, like nature's magic, makes me smile.
Absolutely. It's all about nature. Yes, indeed. Now, speaking of happiness, let's take that a couple of notches higher. What makes your soul come alive? What sets your heart on fire in a good way?
Oh, well, I'll just dive right into that. And I love to study the esoterics, like anything that is esoteric, mystical. That just lights my soul up, like that.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
The limitation of imagination, like any sort of institution or just the culture that limits your ability to think outside the box. That makes me really sad. And anything that keeps anybody, from whatever culture or race or whatever, from being able to have, that access to that, to being able to just um, dream the world, into being that they desire through their
Absolutely.
imagination.
It was Einstein who said, imagination is power, imagination is everything.
Yeah.
He was so right.
Yeah.
Now, what scares you?
Besides the dark, no, just
And spiders, yes.
what really scares me these days is I love the digital age. I mean, it's such a connection tool, right? But it's also expanded so quickly that it's fragile.
Yes.
And I recently had my bank account hacked,
Oh, no.
and that scared me, because
Sure.
that's like that's getting really close to home, right? So that scares me, that there's people out there that are in a state where they need to do that, or they feel that that's something to do. So that frightens me.
Absolutely.
That,
Wow.
that, that
I hope everything
yeah,
was okay for you because that can be very, very scary.
yeah, it's sorting out.
Good, 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 good. Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
what would you say is your number one personal superpower?
Well, I've been told
Must be right then.
um, that people like to just sit by me, because I make them feel better.
Oh.
It just, or I've been called sunshine. Um, I can also be quite stormy, but apparently I
Stormy sunshine and
generally
shiny,
people feel better when they just come to sit with me, like in my office. When I was in an office, a corporate office, one person there would like to come and sit in my office, because she said it felt like a sanctuary, and it felt so good in there. And then she ended up getting my office, and she's like, it doesn't feel the same in here
Yeah.
because you're not in here with your crystals.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
I guess that's a superpower. I don't know if it is or not.
That's a beautiful one because making people feel good, feel happy, that's a very important and needed skill nowadays more than ever.
It's practical, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now,
Mm,
what would
yeah.
you say? What lights you up in the morning when you wake up?
Oh my goodness. After my cup of tea, um, I spend a good hour, and I know this probably doesn't sound exciting, but I will meditate for
Wow.
a good 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'll go for a run. And
Beautiful.
that's like, it's like a great morning for me
Good. So
before I start working.
you're more of
Yeah.
a tea person than a coffee person? First
What's
thing?
that? No, I used to drink coffee and I do still on occasion, but I gave it up about 3 years ago,
Smart move.
for just healing reasons. Yeah.
Good. Good, good, good.
Yeah. hmm
Awesome. Now, you like traveling, right?
Oh yes.
All right. Now, let me take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Because we
Oh
could do an
boy.
entire show just on traveling. I love traveling. Travel is my drug, my passion. But I don't want to even go there. But I want to take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Go back to when you were a young girl. You know, when we were kids growing up, people around us, family, friends, teachers, always ask us, so Patricia, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer to that question as a young girl?
The first thing I wanted to ever wanted to be was a veterinarian.
Wow.
I wanted to take care of animals. That's what I wanted to do.
Growing up, did you guys have any pets at home?
Oh, lots. Yes. Dogs, cats,
That's fine.
birds, fish. I don't think we ever had any lizards or snakes, but or spiders.
Okay.
But we always had a pet, multiple
Okay.
pets.
Nice.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah,
what was your relationship growing up with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
I loved it. I still love school.
Me too.
I did. I mean, there were some years, you know, early teenage years that were a little difficult, but I always loved the schoolwork. You know,
Mhm.
I just, I like to learn new things.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Oh, back when I was younger, it was always science or health. I loved math too, but science and health. I like solving puzzles, so the math, you know, was
Mhm.
like that for me, and it still is. I enjoy it.
I'm seeing a pattern from an early age from you. Animals, nature, starting to come together.
Yeah, science, health,
Yeah. Now,
mathematics.
was there any
Yeah.
subject in school that you did not like at all?
Um, Gosh, you know, I actually I wouldn't say I struggled with memorizing dates for like history. I loved learning it and like just experiencing it, but I
Mhm.
didn't like to have to memorize that dates. It
Yeah,
just I was just like, why?
exactly.
It's, but I really that's about it. Was just I struggled a bit with the memorization of the order of time. Yeah, I'm timeless, right? You know, who cares? I'm joking. It's important to know, but
Sure.
that would be it. Yeah, yeah. My history classes.
Now let's move a little bit forward. Imagine that if we're in the same class in grade 10, grade 11, what kind of girl were you back then? Were you the quiet one? Were you the nerd one? Were you the life of the class? Were you the joker, the chat box? So what kind of person were you back then in around grade 10 and 11?
I was pretty mysterious. I mean, I was very athletic. I was in sports, and I got really good grades. I was on, honor roll. And I had a lot of friends, different from different groups. But I kept to my, I always kind of like a mystic would, right? I sort of hung back and did my own thing a lot. I mean, I would just on purpose on Sundays, like mornings, I would get up at the crack of dawn and go on a 12-mile run just because
Wow.
I wanted to be outside, and I loved to run. It really, and not many other people I went to school with wanted to do that with me.
Did you pursue running and track and field to try to get into more maybe professional and get a scholarship, maybe
I,
even Olympics and
you
professional?
know, I went, I had, I was inclined to do that, to walk on as a cross country
Uh,
runner at the first university that I attended, but I didn't. I ended up getting into yoga, and
okay.
I like that. But I used to, after I finished college and grad school, I started running half marathons and marathons. And so
Mhm.
it kind of came back, but yeah, it did. So
You still
Yeah.
run?
I love to run, and I'll run as long as my body lets me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And I'm 51, so hopefully
Wow, you don't look a day over 35. Let me tell you that. That's not a
yeah.
compliment. That's an observation. Wow, awesome.
I'll take it.
Yes, awesome. Now, what was your very first job?
Okay, so my very first job was working in a doctor's office. I used to file all the patients'
Mhm.
records. I
Awesome.
I like to file. I like to organize things. So that's what I did. That was in high school. I had a part-time job doing that.
Awesome. Now,
Mhm.
how would you describe, let's move forwards. How would you describe your path from the moment you left school to now? Would you say once you get into one lane, it was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing, or was it more like turns and twists, like a roller coaster?
I would say it was more like at the beginning, I was kind of lost. Seriously, I didn't know. I mean, I wanted to go into biology, was always there for me. Like I knew, and thought, oh, I'm going to be a dietitian. And I was like, no, that was not going to do it for me. Because I liked health and I liked to take care of my body, at a young age. But so that I didn't know what I was going to do. And I ended up, like I had a full scholarship to a college, University of New Mexico. And I just couldn't get into school. I just could not. And so I took a bunch of yoga, kind of took the year off. And then I went to a different school, which was a little bit smaller and very focused. It was a science and engineering school, but it had a biology program. So it's kind of like I couldn't get started. And then all of a sudden I found it, right? And I stayed on that track all the way until I was about 35.
Okay.
And then I decided that I was done. I was still doing that work, but I needed to add to it. So it's kind of like I get on a track, right? And then I switched to doing healing. And I've been doing that for 14 years, side by side, the environmental work. So I don't know. It's always been about health, though, the health of the environment or of the person, and health, including it's come to include spirituality, well-being, right? And
Mhm.
helping people align their lives with what really feeds their soul.
Mhm.
What I, some people may or may not believe, but we all show up
Sure.
with our soul's calling, and some of us it takes a long time to truly find it,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I had to go through a lot of things to finally realize that what I do is I help people that
Love that.
excavate their soul, their essence, their authentic self, and begin to live in alignment with that. But I had to go through that process, right?
That
And you're
could be that could be
continually going through it.
that could be your tagline. Help people excavate the
Ah,
soul's purpose.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I should be
Absolutely.
writing this down.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
listen to it
Well, it will
again
be
later.
recorded, so you can listen to it after. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Beautiful. Now, there's a saying, I'm sure you heard it a few times, and that is change your story, change your life. And by story, I mean what we tell ourselves inside our head all day long. So when you, Patricia, had to change your story at your lowest point in life, how did you do that to change your story to change your life? Did you do it through the help of friends, family, mentors, books, TV, whatever? Tell us a process you used to change your story internally in order to change your world externally.
Well, I don't know if it was just one thing, but I had a lot of good, I would say, mentoring, right? And whether it was through books or through psychotherapists. I mean, as a teenager, I suffered from anorexia
Mhm.
and bulimia. Um, and I had to go through um, a lot of therapy to address why wasn't I accepting of myself. And
Mhm.
so that helped me a lot in my younger years. And realizing that I just didn't have enough creativity in my life. Like I need to be in nature and I need to be creative. And I wasn't doing that. And so my focus like turned like almost OCD. I turned it on myself, and I was
Mhm.
I was I was trying to change myself instead of just accepting myself. And so I've gone through so much. I mean, so many different mentors I've had. And since probably I was like, I mean, I grew up Catholic, so I had a couple of really good priests that used to talk to me and help me along. So it's been a mixture of professionals, and then now mentoring with um, uh, divine feminine prosperity leaders. That has really shifted my perspective on how I can show up in the world versus like the old way where you have to show up and you have to do the job the way that they tell you exactly, and instead of the way that feels good to me. So I don't know if I answered your question. I
Oh,
have gone through
absolutely.
so much shaping
Oh,
and
absolutely.
unshaping.
Yes, and it's an ongoing process for all of us. Absolutely, I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, you mentioned that you love nature plays a big part in your life. How do you get your fix of nature nowadays?
Well, um, I live in a special place. There's a lot of open space around me, and trees and just open fields. And about 500 feet that direction, there's a gorge. There's the Rio Grande River runs through White Rock Canyon. So
Wow.
I'm surrounded by it in my home. And so I just every day I get to be in it. We're at the base of an ancient volcano where I live. So, I mean, it's ancient, right? But the lava flowed off of it. And so it made these finger like mesas, and then the edge that drops into the Rio Grande. So it's a beautiful place. It's been through a
Mhm.
lot. We had lots of fires and things like that. But um,
Do you
that's
get
how I
this?
get my daily dose. It's
Do you
just
get at night? Do you get to see the Milky Way?
we can see a lot. This it's yeah, we can see
Oh,
the
wow.
stars.
Can I ask you a
It's
favor?
beautiful.
Can I ask you a favor? Next time you see the Milky Way, please take a few pictures because this is one of my dreams
I'll
to be at
try.
a place to catch the Milky Way, even go somewhere where I can actually sleep under the stars and just.
Yeah.
I do that every night here, even when it's very cold in winter in Canada. I go outside, I look at the stars, I have an app that tells me what star is what, and all that good stuff, and I just keep
Oh,
staring at them for
cool.
for at least an hour each
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, I love to just sit out and look at the skies. I love to camp. My
Mhm.
family and we go camping, and yeah, just spend time out in
So
wild nature.
next time you're in that environment, when you see the Milky Way, please take a few
Okay.
pictures and
If I
send it to
have my
me.
good camera, I will. I will.
Your phone is good enough, you know. All right. Awesome. Now, let's talk about the impact you're having in the world. Tell us about the impact you're having and tell us about your business.
Okay. So the short version, right? Okay.
Yes.
Um, yeah, the abridged. Yeah. So my business started out, like I said, I was a massage therapist, right? And so I started there, right? And I had to kind of build up, you know, skills to help a lot of different kinds of people that were suffering from chronic pain, or because I was an athlete, I understood an athlete's body, so I helped athletes
Mhm.
to perform well, right? To have high performance by working on their bodies for recovery or if they had injuries. And so I did that. That was what my impact was in the beginning. Was very much a biological kind of health, thing, right? It's just helping structurally, physically helping people. And then I got into the emotional work using aromatherapy. And so I know I've been blending, different blends for people and for my family, for I don't know, over over 10 years, 12 years, maybe, when I
Mm-hmm.
started doing that. And so the aromatherapy works a lot of that. It does work physiologically on the muscles and the tissues, but the amygdala in your brain, it activates it, right? The mammalian brain, and it can shift your emotions. So it can help you process
Okay.
grief or pain, sadness, anxiety. And so I really got into helping people with that. Uh, and then of course the progression was start to work on spirit, or start to help people breathe life back into their spirit, right? People using aromatherapy, but also I got into Akashic records.
Wow.
And so really removing things at the root of the problem, subconscious patterns, and a lot of different metaphysical techniques. Probably. I won't give the whole list here.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to work with people at that level, and I even created an oracle card deck,
Whoa.
um, I do digital art. I create digital art collages, and I took 6 years of my art, which were transmissions, right? Art carries a transmission, it has energy in it, and it evokes, an emotion or an experience when you see art, right, for a person. So I have 55 pieces of digital art in my deck that come with a certain transmission around what you call your infinite self. Okay, and so it's you have, and some people think I'm a little out there, and I'm okay with that now. In the beginning it was hard, but you have a cosmic self, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can connect with like the stars. You talked about that, right? It's like,
Sure.
well, we're all made of stardust essentially, right? The universe is made from stardust, and that's not a very technical um, explanation, but we came from the stars, right? And so there's parts of us that are connected to it, and so you explore that. And then there's your elemental self,
Sure.
right? And that's connecting to the earth, to and some people, the fairies. I mean, they're not, they might just be in your imagination for some people, but not for me. And so like all those realms, so you expand your consciousness, right? You expand it to connect with more than just a little, like a tunnel vision of what your life is. And then there's your higher self, which a lot more people are attuned to, through religion and through other spiritual paths. And so I have a whole set of those. And then there's chakra healing and karmic healing, which is very deep work. So that's kind of my progression, was from wellness, like physical health, or high performance physically as an athlete, and then I moved into emotional healing, helping mothers, because I had 3 children, um, starting at 37, ending at 41, right? So I had a lot going on, and so I really knew what to use to help me. And so then I shared that with mothers and other people who were around a lot of intense activity, right? Stress. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be bad stress, but it's stress. And then I moved into spirituality, and that's kind of my story.
Beautiful. Wow. Now, there's a lot a lot of direction we can take this, but one thing I'm really curious about is I want to know more about your butterfly healing.
Well, okay. Yeah, great. I mean, it incorporates that whole evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So someone comes into me, and I do these in person, is really the best way, but I
Sure.
do virtual. But they come in, and so for a session, and I have what I'm sitting here at is my table, and my body work table, my massage table, and I work on them. I don't do necessarily a massage, like a massage feet and head, but I do craniosacral work. So I really help their body energetically come into a place where they're receptive to experience a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
This craniosacral brings them to what you call a 0 point. It's a reset. And then I work on them with essential oils that I tune in to, either through the Akashic record or just my own, my intuition on what they need. And then I use sound healing on them. And then I use crystals. I'm a certified crystal, healer. So I've been doing that for quite a long time. So they get that, and then sometimes I use light language, which is really a special kind of sound healing, an activator. And so I work on them for about 60 minutes, and it just rebalances their energy system, clears out whatever needs to go, and it also replenishes them with new what I call codes from sound or the crystals. And that's my butterfly healing. It's just, yeah, it's a beautiful process. And it's gentle. It's powerful, but gentle transformation. That's kind of my way.
It's a beautiful way. How long have you been working on the butterfly, healing method?
Let's see, when did I probably maybe 7 years. Like, I didn't start to call it that until, well, maybe around 4 years ago, but I was already doing it, and finding the process. And then I got to a point where I wasn't doing massage anymore. Like, I was tired. You get kind of tired, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, what is still effective at helping people, heal? And then I blended all of it together, and there is structure, but it's very individual, right? So it's a very individual healing transformational process. So yeah, I would say 7 years, but 4 years is what I've been calling it, butterfly healing.
When did you realize that, hey, this is unique, this is different, I'm onto something?
Oh, I don't know if there was a time. It just happened. Like, when something just kind of comes to a tipping point. And so it must have been about 4 years ago, right? When it must have been about 4 years ago. And then 2 years ago, when COVID, happened, I started to do distance work on people. And so I couldn't do but I could still do the sound healing, and I could send the shifts energetically to people. And it was fascinating, because some people are, well, how can you do that over, a distance, right? Because I do Reiki as well. That's another piece of it. But yeah, I don't know if I ever had like an epiphany. It was just like, oh, this is just, I've been doing this. Let's just claim it.
Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome. And would you say that this is today the bulk of what you focus on, the butterfly healing, as far as your business is concerned?
Well, yes. And I also focus on, it's an aspect of what I do. The other part is strictly spiritual work, like the excavation. So the butterfly healing helps the person move through the transformation, right? But the Akashic work, and that's what I focus a lot on right now, doing the Akashic work.
Tell me more about the Akashic work. What exactly do you do on that? Is that something I'm really fascinated
Okay,
by?
so there's a lot of different ways that people work with the Akashic record. I mean, you can pick up a book. I've trained in 3 different modalities for accessing the Akashic records, but what it is everyone has what they call a soul book, right? So everything that has ever happened to your soul, ever, and it also, has future timelines in it too. And so you ask permission, they call the record keepers, to go in to someone's records, and you can work on your own. And I did that. I just did mine for a really long time until I felt really good about it. And then I started offering it to others. But you go in there, and one method, you go in and you ask questions about something that you want to understand about yourself. All right. And some methods will focus clear only on the present. They won't even look at past life stuff.
Mhm.
And so you go in and you ask your soul, like, what is going, what is going on really here? What is really happening? Like if you're having, money troubles or relationship troubles, and you just can't explain it at the normal conscious level,
Mhm.
you go into the Akashic records and you can retrieve information that helps you understand it. Then you can go another step further and you can clear it from your record. And then you can go another step and you can rewrite into
Mhm.
your record.
Okay.
So it's so like the clearing can happen in your body. We store information in our chakras, you know, and so in this lifetime, if you have a bad experience, it can imprint in your body and then in your subconscious, and it's stuck in your Akashic. So you can clear it out using different techniques. And what it helps you do is it helps remove like old belief systems, which can be mental, emotional, or physical memory. Like you can have body memories, right? When you're a little kid,
Sure.
something happens to you. Generally, you don't store it because you're not mature emotionally or mentally. You store it as a body memory. And so, like, it could be, like a way that you hold your body if maybe you had trauma or something like that. And so it
Like a
helps to,
birthmark, for example.
yeah, so it helps to release anything that is not serving. So that what does that do? That helps your body open up, right, and be more available to experience joy in life. And then if you help to clear an emotional pattern, that helps you to live with more of an open heart, right? And your relationships start to flourish. And if it's a mental thing, well, then you clear an old belief, an old pattern of like maybe you're afraid to go out in public, right? And you don't understand why. And what
Mhm.
does that do to a person if they're afraid to be around people? It's very limiting. And there are a lot of people who get anxiety in crowds, including myself, right? I used to feel very uncomfortable. And now I, talk in front of people. And so I had to do a lot of clearing around beliefs of, oh, I'm going to get shamed, right? I'm gonna get shamed, or somebody's gonna be mean to me, or somebody's gonna, if it comes from a past life, well, maybe, I was killed in a past life for speaking up, the heretic, right? The witch,
Mhm.
all these things that keep you from being your authentic self. And so I work with people to clear those out so that they can find peace with themselves and joy and satisfaction in their daily life. And then I use the butterfly healing to help them balance through that, right? Because if you do a lot of changes in your subconscious or in your system, you can get a little rattled, right? It's like it's too much. And so the butterfly healing helps. It's like a salve, right? It helps to soothe it, and so that you can continue to grow in that evolutionary path. So does that, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
no, that's powerful.
clear, but
So, do you do nowadays also Akashic record readings, people?
I do readings. Yes. That's part of it. You do
Okay,
the reading and then you do the clearing.
okay. And the readings is that, have you heard of? There's a lady on YouTube. She has a, for me, it's one of my favorite YouTube channels. Her name is Debbie Solaris. Have you heard of her? She does very
Wow.
in depth reading of Akashic readings all the way to where your soul originates from, and because she talks about different star system and all that, that's something that's
Hmm.
like crack to me. I've listened back to back. She has what 100 episodes on her channel, and each is about an hour, and I must have devoured each of them at least twice because I'm absolutely
Sounds
fascinated
amazing.
by that. Do you do
Hmm.
something like that too? Like you can go all the way back to the origin of where your soul is from, where you've been, what kind of some talk about the lives
Yes.
you've had, for example, as a on a different planet, different civilization, and different, as an
Hmm.
elemental, as a higher, spirit being, and all that, and now in the third dimension, all that. Do you do similar things?
I do. And that's how my infinite self oracle card deck came into being. I was part of it doing work in the Akashics. But I do help people when I work with them one-on-one. I have something called your infinite self blueprint, and
Okay.
I help them find out what, what those aspects of their infinite self are using the Akashic records.
Okay. You mentioned that you have a card deck that you created yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that really caught my attention because my background is e-commerce. And when we were talking, I had a lot of ideas going to my mind. Have you started, or have you been selling those cards yet, or are you looking to sell them in the future?
I have been selling them, and I am definitely still selling them. And I have 55 recorded Akashic transmissions that go with them.
Mhm.
And I've run journeys with that, and people have said it was very transformational um, to go through that 55-day journey with them.
I'll definitely want you to share the link to where you're selling those and all your websites at the end, because that's something I'm interested in
Okay.
myself, and others would
Mm-hmm.
also be interested as well. So we'll
Sure.
save that for the end.
Okay.
Awesome. Now, speaking of impact, share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen so far from one of your clients.
Well, without giving too much
Sure. Yeah.
detail just for privacy purposes, but
Hmm.
I had a client who came in and was um, completely the body was completely locked up and in pain, and I worked on this person, um, just doing energy work, doing the butterfly healing for about, gosh, I don't know, maybe it was like it took about 6 months to get the body to open up. And then I saw her, like, just started to watch every time her demeanor completely shifted, like smiling, like open, like thinking about the future, like just, everything was just, a new road had just opened up, like a golden path had
Wow.
just opened up. And I've watched this person just go on to like claim what she really wants, and I'm just grateful to be able to be part of her transformation.
Wow.
So, like I said, butterfly healing and the Akashic records, they will change your life. I mean, the
Absolutely.
trajectory, right? You switch timelines, and so watching people jump a timeline,
Hmm.
right? Because we have a lot of parallel timelines that you can be on. You choose one, right? And you have to let the other ones kind of go. And so you choose your highest timeline. That's the one you want to be on. And so, yeah, watching her choose her highest timeline has been really, really amazing.
Absolutely. How long does it take for let's say one of your clients, any client in general speaking, working with you, for them to be able to switch timeline from where they are now to being at the highest level that they can be, for example?
Oh goodness.
Have you
I
noticed a
don't
trend?
I would so I can someone can experience change in one session, right? But
Wow.
the problem is that it's like one of my mentors says, it's like a muscle, right? If you
Train it, yes.
if you don't stay in the energy of people who are living on that path, the likelihood to go back to old patterns will happen. Even if you've cleared them, you recreate them by being around. So people who are still holding them, they start to take them back on. And so what really happens is, 3 months you can see a shift, um, but 9 months really it's like a rebirth.
Mhm.
It's
Beautiful.
like it's like a rebirth. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Now let's talk more about impact. What would you say is for you a cause that you're deeply passionate about?
Mm. Being in harmony with Gaia,
Hmm.
living living our lives in harmony with one another and with her, and sustainability. That's really important to me. um it's about the children, like being the ones who start the shift so that when the children are, older, they're they've already lived a different life than I did, right? They've experienced more joy in their life, more satisfaction, more peace, right? Even though we all have to go through challenging times because it shapes us, but just to be able to experience more of that, more of the time, is what I'm really passionate about.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, let's start wrapping things up. And to finish off, I'd
Okay.
like to ask you a series of, once again, rapid fire questions, but this time on advices. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. What would you say has been so far the best piece of advice you've received?
Oh gosh. So I'm just going to put one foot in front of the other. Just
Oh,
keep
yes.
putting one foot in front of the other.
Indeed. Indeed. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what would you say has been so far the worst piece of advice you've received so far?
Oh, the worst piece of advice is just do it. It'll get easier. Like it'll get better. Like when you're doing something that you don't like already. Okay. So if you're in a job you don't like and someone says, just deal with it. I guess that's the
Stick
word.
with it.
Just deal with it.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
just do it. You
Yes.
can't change
Yes.
things.
I agree with you. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine. You can sit face to face now with an 18-year-old Patricia. What's the number one advice you would give to her, knowing all that you know now?
Oh my goodness. I would tell her that she's free to be whoever she wants to be. Like she just to follow the joy, that what brings her joy. And that's it.
So
That's what I would tell her.
do you feel that when you were 18 you didn't feel free to do what you wanted to do back then?
No,
What was holding
no.
you
I
back?
found the fear, a lot of fear. And just, when you grow up in a certain way, things don't, and you're not told that things that could be vastly different for you. You kind of, I didn't know. I honestly I did not know what was of the vastness of potential that each one of us has. Like I just didn't know.
Wow,
I
that's
just
true.
I lived in a really small town and
Oh
I
yeah.
just didn't know.
Absolutely. Can imagine that. Now that you have your podcast, which will go live in a couple of weeks, maybe in 3 weeks from now, October 7th. Imagine that now your podcast is running, is very popular, and today, for example, you're interviewing the most special person in the world, which is yourself. What is the first question that you want to ask yourself? What's the first question that comes to mind? Don't think too much. The first question that comes to mind.
To ask myself
Yes,
the
yes,
first question.
yes.
um, um First question that I would ask myself: what is the most sacred place you have ever visited? I don't know why that came through, but
Beautiful. And what's the answer?
oh my goodness. I have visited a lot of beautiful sacred places, but the one that is really the most magical to me was sleeping on the banks of the Colorado River at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
Like I've done that 4 times. And under the full moon one, I mean that's a sacred place to me. Is just
Absolutely.
it's like
What a
being in
sight.
Middle Earth.
Yes. Can only imagine the sky above you.
It was absolutely
Next
gorgeous.
time you do it, please. You know what to do.
Okay. I know what to send you.
Pictures and
as a,
videos, please, of the
as a
sky.
thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Awesome.
Hmm.
Now, the last question I want to ask, and that's my favorite question. And that is, what's the smallest thing you've done so far in your life that has had the biggest, most profound impact in your life? By small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing. Like, for example, for me, it's been starting my podcast. What about you, Patricia?
Akashic Records.
Mm. How did you get into that?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I don't, I found this a woman somehow, and I just asked for a reading, and then she gave me a reading, and then I found someone else. I just, how you just connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. And she just read for me. And then I started studying it. And then I've studied under 3 teachers. And I just, I'm wanting to develop my own way of connecting to the Akashic records. So that's kind of something, it has changed my life.
Wow, beautiful. Yes. This is what I've heard from everyone that's been involved in Akashic readings. That it's life changing not only for them, but for everyone that
For
they help with
everyone
it.
that's from, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
and then there would be, you know, plant medicine.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Wow. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, Patricia, what's the best way to do so?
So you can find me on, Facebook, or Instagram, and my website, my main website is patriciawaldhopkins.com. No hyphen in the Wald-Hopkins. And so you can find out a lot more about my spiritual work there, and Mariposa Body and Wellness.com if you're interested in the butterfly healing.
So you will have the information about your Akashic readings and all that on your personal website?
On the personal website, I have my programs,
Mm-hmm.
and on the Mariposa Body, I do have single sessions for Akashic.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so one is more like my programs that really take
Okay.
someone through a transformation, and the Mariposa Body and Wellness.com has more of like a la carte.
Yes. And you also have your card deck
Yes,
on those sites.
I have it on both of them. Yes, and
Okay,
see, this
beautiful.
is it. It's right here.
Beautiful. Wow. Well done. Well done. Well, listen, Patricia, I salute you. You're a cheerleader with heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world with your presence, with your impact, with everything you're doing, with your readings, with your, butterfly healing. I love the name Mariposa. So keep doing your thing. Keep blessing the world with everything you do. Stay safe. Stay awesome. God bless you, my friend. I can't wait to see your podcast live, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing those pictures from the bottom of the canyon and with the
I got to
Milky
get
Way
back
of
down there.
yes, that's your homework. All
Do that.
right, Patricia.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
wonderful day, and as we say, have a fantabulous weekend ahead of you, and we'll be definitely talking soon again. Take care, my friend.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you.
you're welcome. Bye.
Bye bye.